Good afternoon, sir, and to our dearest classmates. We are the reporters of Part 2, Lesson 4, entitled The Act, Feelings and Reasons for Impartiality, Reason and Impartiality as Minimum Requirement for Morality and Moral Courage. These four words ay may kinalaman for the subtopic that I will going to tackle today. To understand the title of this topic, let me define you these words first. Una, feelings. It is an emotional state or reaction ng isang tao. Second, moral. Principles concerning sa distinction of right and wrong behavior tsaka yung goodness and badness ng isang tao. Next is deliberation. It is an act of careful thought or thinking and decision of a person. Lastly, the moral deliberation focuses on the important process of moral inquiry to develop ability to relate each virtue to a specific situation. Emotions are frequently important. Isa siya sa mga aspeto that makes us as a human being. However, maraming etisista are unaware, suspicious, or even dismissive of the role of emotions in moral decision-making and reflection. Before tayo tuluyang i-explore this topic, this is clearly Aristotelian perspective on emotions and its application in moral deliberation practice. In every decision we made, tinitingnan pa rin natin yung moral virtue doon. Meaning we tend to look for what is good for us. Pero ang isang mas makatotohanang saloobin sa paggawa ng desisyon ay yung i-appreciate ang papel ng mga emosyon sa pagkilos at sa pagpili. O sa madaling salita, yung moral virtue na ito ay nagpapakilala sa atin ng tamang bagay na gawin natin kung saan naapektuhan yung emosyon. Like for example, yung trolley problem. As you're walking by a train station, you notice there are some construction workers working on the tracks, specifically anim. There is a fork in the track so a train could either go left or right. On the left track, there is only one person working. On the right track, there are 5 people working. They all have noise-cancelling headphones kaya hindi nila alam yung nangyayari sa paligid nila at hindi sila nakakarinig. Suddenly, nakita mong mayroong out-of-control train car coming down the tracks. It must have gotten loose from a train. The fork in the track is directed towards the right side, so the out-of-control car is headed straight for the 5 workers, certain to kill them all. There is no way to stop the train car. The only thing you can do is to pull a switch to redirect the car towards the left track, which would kill the one worker there. Kung ikaw yung nasa sitwasyon, syempre nakaka-pressure, kailangan mo pumili eh. Pero it greatly affect your emotions. Therefore, emotions play a big role in a way we judge morality and make moral decisions. Ano na feel mo after mo mapakinggan yung story? Guilty, takot, or awa? Para sa akin, hindi naman sa sinasabing masaya ako pero nakaligtas ka ng 5 tao. Syempre guilty na may halong takot kasi nasaksihan mo kung paano nawala ng buhay yung nag-sacrifice doon na isang tao, which is yung nasa left track na nagtatrabaho doon, which is doon napunta yung out of control train car kaya nagkaroon ng aksidente at nawalan siya ng buhay. The tulak ng bibig, kabig ng dibdib is an idiomatic expression sa Filipino. O sa mas madaling salita, ito yung nagpapakita ng hipokrita or dalawang muka. According to Aristotelian idea, there is no disconnection between intellectual knowledge of the good and actual ability of an individual to perform. Clearly means na they are linked to each other. Isang halimbawa rito is nakacentralize pa rin sa idea ng tulak ng bibig-kabig ng dibdib. Halimbawa, ako yung nangliligaw sa girl, may nililigawan akong girl. At napag-isip ng babae na to na ano kayang pwedeng gawin para tumagal ako sa panliligaw sa kanya. Which is baka sakaling isipin niya na magpakipot muna siya na kunwari ayaw niya sa guy, ayaw niya sa nanliligaw sa kanya. Kaya yung minsan sinasabi niya na lumayo ka nga, ayaw ko sa'yo. May dalawang meaning yun. Ibig sabihin, sa guy, kung ibig sabihin dun sa guy na parang nagsasawa na yung girl sa kanya, pero sa babae, mas pinopursue or mas pinupush niya pa yung guy na lumapit dun sa girl at wag mag-i-stop yung panliligaw niya dun sa girl. Ganun yung idea ng tulak na bibig, kabig ng dibdib. This line from the book 2 of Nicomachean Ethics, sa pagkakaintindi ko, anger is one of the major feelings or emotions na nalalabas natin dahil sa sitwasyon na maaaring makatrigger dito. Itong idea ni Aristotle puts us in a situation na natitrigger yung anger natin dahil sa iba't ibang aspeto. While anger is occurring, naglalabas tayo ng galit sa ibang tao na wala namang ginagawa, which is morally wrong. Alam mong mali pero di mo makontrol dahil sa nanaig yung galit. That's why he also pointed out na character formation maaring makahubog sa moral deliberation mo through the matter of habitually managing one's emotion. So, this idea is nakacentralize sa moral agent. So, what is moral agent? Moral agent is a person that can easily identify yung understanding sa what is right from wrong. As a result, he or she can make a moral decisions. Determining moral decision and virtue dumadaan sa maraming proseso na can shape the situation and options of decision. To put into simple understanding, halimbawa nito yung bata. Yung bata, dalawa silang bata, may kasama silang isang matanda. Yung isang bata na to, kinagat niya yung isang bata. Kinagat niya sa braso, to be specific. Kinagat niya sa braso. So yung bata is umiyak. Yung kinagat niya, umiyak yung bata, then dahil sa sobrang sakit na naramdaman ng isang bata, hindi niya nasabi na ano nangyari dun sa kanya. So itong matanda is tinanong niya yung bata na nangagat, pero without knowing na siya talaga yung nangagat, tinanong niya kung ano nangyari. Siyempre, nasa isip ng bata, alam niyang mali yung ginawa niya. Pero kasi dahil sa curiosity siguro, kaya niya nagawa yon, hindi niya na lang sinabi yung totoong nangyari kasi pakiwari niya, baka saktan siya or baka ibalik sa kanya ng matanda yung ginawa niya sa isang bata. So that's a moral decision affecting the feelings works.
The 7-step moral reasoning model. The first step is to determine the facts. The simplest way or the first step in moral reasoning model of clarifying an ethical dilemma is to determine that the facts are clear. To determine the facts, ask the questions who, what, where, when, how, and why. Consider the reliability and credibility of the people providing the facts. Sa ganitong paraan, maaaring maging mas malinaw ang facts na hinahanap mo. Pero facts may be difficult to find dahil sa uncertainty na madalas nakikita around ethical issues, because some of facts are not available. In examining a case, gusto nating malaman ang magagamit ng mga katotohanan, as well as any facts presently not known pero kailangang ma-determine. Assemble as many facts as possible before proceeding. Verify the assumptions and other uncertain information. Consider all perspectives, but be careful to consider whether the source of the information has values different from yours or sa personal interest na maaring makaapekto sa perception of the facts. Lastly, evaluate the information you have in terms of completeness and reliability para magkaroon ka ng sense of certainty sa magiging decision mo.
Good day everyone, my name is Meda Rose Gasataya and I'm here to discuss my report. Second, determine the precise ethical issues. Don't jump to solution without first identifying the ethical issues in the situation. So for this, after we jump to the solution, we should come up first on identifying those ethical issues that we encounter in the situation. Diba, there are always process of investigation when it comes to one issue for us to apply solution. Diba, paano natin mabibigyan ng solution ang isang bagay or issue if we didn't know the cause of it, who are the people involved, and what are your collective facts about the issue. Then, after natin silang ma-identify, then, pwede na tayong mag-jump dun sa solution na yun. Next is define the ethical basis for the issue you want to focus on. So, after we determine the ethical issues on the situation, now we must define what are the ethical basis for that particular issue. It is related to utilitarianism, deontological, or virtue basis. Next, there may be multiple ethical issues focused on one major one at a time. So for this, alam naman natin na we always encounter multiple issues at the same time, but of course, we must focus on the major one for us to concentrate and evaluate the specific issue that we focused on. to avoid stress and pressure in identifying those ethical issues. Third, identify the major principles, rules, and values. Obligations should be thought of in terms of principles and rights involved. Letter A. What obligations are created because of particular ethical principles you might use in this situation? So for this, there are a lot of ethical principles that we can use in any particular situations which can help to determine the best action. Example, not harm. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Do what you would have anyone in your shoes. Example of golden rule. It is often described as putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Diba, kung ikaw, if you don't want to be hurt, treated unfairly, or feel disrespect, then you should have to do the same in a way you would respect, accept, and understand the person. Kasi kung ikaw na nananakit at nag-judge ng isang tao, hindi mo naman talaga malalaman yung feelings ng tao na yun, yung nararamdaman ng tao na yun. Then how about putting yourself on his or her situation, then ma-realize mo talaga na masakit, na manakit ng damdamin ng iba. Letter B. What obligations are created because of the specific rights of the stakeholders? What rights are more basic versus secondary in nature? Basic human rights include the right to life and liberty, freedom from slavery, freedom of opinion and expression, the right to work and education, and many more. So everyone is entitled to other rights without discrimination. Secondary rights would include a right to be employed in just favorable condition, rights to food, housing, and healthcare, as well as social security and unemployment benefits. Next, which help protect an individual's basic autonomy. Is there a basic autonomy individual? What types of rights are involved, negative or positive? So when we say negative rights, it is defined entirely in terms of duties. Others are not allowed to interfere with you. Privacy is one of the example of negative rights, while positive rights implies that others have a duty not only to refrain from interference but also to provide you with what you need to pursue on your interest. For example, the rights to food, life, and healthcare. Letter C. What concepts of justice, fairness are relevant? Distributive or procedural justice? Distributive justice achieved when equals receive the same allocations of benefits. For example, public programs that provide social security or medical care to all elderly and retired persons, the allocation of wages and bonuses to the employees. While procedural justice is generally defined as the perceived fairness of the procedures used to make decisions. In organization, these decisions often involve allocating resources such as promotions. For example, the process of how a manager gives promotion will be seen as unfair if he only promote his friends. So, as we remember, the main objective of procedural justice is to perceive fairness on the individual, especially on the organization, but it will depend on the situations we are in. Next, did you consider any relevant cognitive barriers or bias? For this, are we consider relevant bias only paying attention on one beliefs that only confirms on our own opinions, or are we considered various beliefs or opinions that open on that particular issue? Lastly, formulate the appropriate decision or action based solely on the above analysis of these obligations. So after we come up on the identifying those ethical issues, it is now the time to make an appropriate decision that will only based on the facts we come up. So for you to have a better result.
Good day, sir. Good day, classmate. I'm Emily De La Cruz. I am explaining to you alternatives. For me, alternatives is offering or expressing a choice, like develop many options. Once you know what the goals are and facts are well considered already, then you can make a list of actions that are possibly be your options. If it's about life decision, you can talk to someone you can trust the most, so you can broaden your perspective and think of new choices. If you can think of only one or two choices, you are probably not thinking hard enough. For example, options 1, download music for free. Option 2, don't download music but purchase the song instead. Look at possible options by brainstorming a list of options. Step 5. Compare the values and alternatives. For me, these considered consequences. After developing options which are possibly your basis of action, you must consider consequences of each option you choose. Filter your choices to determine if any of your options will violate any ethical consideration and then omit unethical options. Think of its long-term consequences and act in accordance to the spirit of fairness and justice. Identify who will be affected by your decision and how the decision is likely to affect them. This step involves eliminating alternatives according to the moral principle that have a bearing on the case. In many cases, that case will be resolved at this point, since the principle will remove all alternatives except one, that your choices. Compare values and alternatives. For me, like my example, options 1, download music for free. Options 2, download music but purchase instead. Para sa akin, maganda yung options 2. Kaya ayun yung pinili kasi mayroong magbe-benefits yung gumawa ng music. Para mag-benefit siya kasi pag dinownload mo yun para sa sarili mo lang, free lang, pang sarili mo lang. Pag dinownload mo yun ng binili mo, tinignan mo yung hirap ng taong gumawa ng kanta.
Step 6. Assess the consequences. If the dilemma's values and principles have still not give you a clear course of action to take, then consider the possible consequences of remaining alternatives. Ang ibig sabihin nito, working out each of their positive and negative consequences and estimating how beneficial or harmful they are to the dilemma if you choose them. Step 7. Make a decision. Remember, deliberation cannot go on forever. You must avoid paralysis by analysis. Or ito yung pag-overthinking or over-analyzing ng isang bagay so that our decision or action get too much delay or never taken and paralyzes the outcome. There is no easy painless decision to a moral dilemma. However, it is also important that the decision you make reflect the value you want to uphold.
Why does it has or why this ethics has a reason in impartiality? Or why unless we have to talk about it over and over again? Good day everyone, my name is Carl Vincent P. Del Mundo and allow me to discuss the requirement of impartiality in morality. Impartiality is closely connected with the idea that moral judgments must be backed by good reasons. Impartiality can be described as the principle that decisions ought to be based on the objective criteria, rather than on the basis of bias, prejudice or preferring to benefit one person over another for improper reasons. So in simple words, impartiality is also called as fair-mindedness. When we have certain kinds of choices and reasons, syempre kailangan natin i-weigh-in yun. Alin nga ba din yung valid, and alin ba din yung hindi valid, and so on and so forth. And furthermore, it helps us also eliminate the different prejudices and biases. Because syempre sometimes, meron at merong reasons and choices na bias din. In a way na mayroong isa lamang benefit without any righteous basis. So let's move on to the last part, which is to answer the question, do impartiality a requirement for morality? So I have here a quotation from Dr. James Rachel's father, states that morality at the very least is the effort to guide one's action based on the logical choice while giving equal importance to the interest of each person affected by your decision. So to sum it all up, it is indeed an essential requirement for morality because our moral behavior comes from our moral thinking. That would be all, and I hope you learned something about this topic.
Good day everyone, I'm Jason Feliciano and I am going to discuss regarding the minimum conception of morality. There are ethical dilemmas everywhere and we need to have some sort of system that we can use to make sure that we are doing right by ourselves when these situations comes up. One way that we can do that is through ethical theory. But there are a lot of ethical theories out there. There are some good ones and at the same time, there are some bad ones. And we need to have some way of determining which ones are which. One way that we can do that is through some sort of the minimum conception of morality, in which it is common to each theory. In chapter 1 of James Rachel's Elements of Moral Philosophy, he stated that morality is at the very least the effort to guide one's conduct by reason, that is to do what there are the best reasons for doing, while giving equal weight to the interests of each individual who will be affected by what one does. In short, James Rachel's definition of morality is the effort to guide one's conduct by reasons while giving equal weight to the interests of each individual affected. And there are two main components to this. First is reason, and the second one is about giving equal weight to the interests of each individual, or in other words, it means impartiality. When we talk about reason, we are talking about argument backing up what you are aiming to say or to do in that situation. You need to have reasons for what you decide, and those reasons cannot just be any reasons. They need to be good reasons, because if you do not have good reasons to back up your claim or your decision, you might need to reconsider it, and it is probably not a good moral decision. The second part talks about impartiality. It means that you are giving equal weight or importance to the interests of each individual, and you are being fair and just to make sure that you are not biased or discriminating against certain groups of people. Lastly, morality requires good reasons and impartial consideration of each individual's interests. And when we put this together, we can have some minimal standard by which we can judge ethical theories. The minimum conception of morality gives us a picture of what it means to be a conscientious moral agent. A conscientious moral agent is a person who has the ability to discern right from wrong and to be held accountable for his or her own actions. Furthermore, a conscientious moral agent is someone who is concerned impartially with the interests of everyone affected by what he or she does, who look through facts and examines their implications, who accept principles of conduct only after scrutinizing them to make sure that they are justified, and who is willing to listen to reason even when it means revising prior, and who, finally, is willing to act on the results of this deliberation. In conclusion, A conscientious moral agent is assigned only to those who can be held responsible for their actions, and they have a moral responsibility not to cause unjustified harm. And that is all for my report. Thank you for listening.
Good day everyone, I'm Eliza Jane Elspalarga and I will discuss the topic about moral courage. Moral courage is what characterizes those who face the pains and dangers of disapproval in the execution of what they believe to be their obligation. To have moral courage is to be willing to speak out and act for that which is right, even in the face of opposing even superior forces. So, it is the ability to stand up for what they think is right, which one considers ethical or moral behavior when faced with a dilemma, even if it means going against countervailing pressure to do otherwise. Moral courage is the bridge between talking about values and actually implementing them, and it includes three elements, which are dangers, principles, and daring. Those with moral courage resolves to do the right thing, even if it puts them at personal risk of losing employment, isolation from peers, and other negative consequences. For example, helping someone to pick up the items that fell on the road, even if it means being late, or standing up to a bully on the playground, even if you get into trouble, is what moral courage looks like. According to former Senator from Maine, Margaret Chase Smith, the right way is not always the popular and easy way. Standing for right when it is unpopular is a true test of moral character. In short, morally courageous individuals are act upon their ethical values to help others during difficult ethical dilemmas, despite the adversity they may face in doing so. That's all. Thank you.
Good day. I'm Casey Lynn P. Gonzalez, and today I'll be discussing the types of developing will and moral courage. So first off is developing practice and self-discipline. One way to gain moral courage and will is to develop and practice self-discipline. The concept of self-discipline involves the rejection of instant gratification in favor of something better. Developing will and moral courage involves developing self-control. So in today's age, it is becoming more and more difficult to maintain self-discipline. So what is self-discipline? Self-discipline, in essence, is a capacity to maintain constant control over your behavior, feelings, emotions that contributes to progress and leads to success. When you have a good hold on your self-discipline, you will be more motivated and more likely to accomplish your goal. It has a significant connection to willpower, which has the ability to exert control over one's impulses and behavior. Most people think that success comes from a good luck or a talent, but many successful people achieve their accomplishments in a simpler way through self-discipline. So sometimes natitempt tayo to do things na later on nakaka-feel tayo ng guilt about that specific things. Moments like these are often happens due to lack in judgment or lack of discipline. We can easily felt angry in all times. Any of these problems include health issues, distractions, procrastinations, financial difficulties, clutter, and more can be obtained if we don't develop our self-discipline. So, ano nga bang dapat natin gawin to avoid that? Having a strong self-discipline and willpower, magagawa natin yung dapat natin gawin without having temptations or laziness. It also helps us to be productive, allows us to be better to take control our life, or in short, it also empowers us to live the way we ideally want to, and leads to having good grades in school, having more energy, which improves our mood. We stay motivated at all times. For example, tayo students, marami tayong task, activities na dapat tapusin within a week. Pero syempre, minsan nakaka-tempt tayo na, ay, mamaya na lang, gagawa muna ako, magti-TikTok muna ako, magti-Facebook muna ako, maglalaro muna ako, natitempt tayo na gawin yung ibang bagay other than sa mga kailangan nating gawin. And if we don't have self-discipline, wala na, hindi na natin siya magagawa dahil natitempt tayo sa mga ibang bagay or tinatamad tayo sa ibang bagay. So, ayun, dahil doon nagiging negative effect or result ito sa atin. Dahil hindi natin na ma-manage ng maayos yung time natin and nagpapadala tayo masyado sa temptations natin. And if we have a self-discipline, hindi tayo magpapadala sa mga temptations na yon. We will focus on what we need to do and kung ano yung mga goals na dapat natin gawin. We will eventually manage our time efficiently. So that's why self-discipline is the key in everything. So here are some ways to gain self-discipline. Number 1, understand the importance in your life. Diba, when something is important to us, we will invest our time for it. Like sa studies natin, importante yan sa atin, so we will invest our time for it. Same as in self-discipline, if we understand the importance in our life, we will make our time for it. Like, we will have our priorities and enjoy our life until we master the self-discipline. Number 2 is become aware of your undisciplined behavior and its consequences. When this awareness increases, you will be more convinced of the needs to change in your life. So, like what I've said sa examples ko, every disciplined behavior we do, kapalit nun is consequences. And as that awareness increases, we need to learn that changing our life would be better for us to have a good and healthy life. So, hindi lang naman tayo mananatili sa lifestyle natin na sa tingin natin hindi nakakabuti para sa atin. So, as of that, sa undisciplined behavior na ginagawa natin, nagkakaroon tayo ng consequences. So, to gain a self-discipline, we need to change our lifestyle. We need to have a better and healthy life for us to be a better person. So, number 3 is make the effort to act accordingly to the decisions you make. Do so regardless of the laziness or the desires to give up or stop what you are doing. So, wise and healthy decisions is tough to make if we don't know how to discipline ourselves. We would only see what will benefit for us, but not what we think is right and what we think is best for us. Having a healthy choice is also a way that leads us to be a disciplined person. So accomplishing even a small part of this ways on how to gain a self-discipline is also a great achievement, which can have a positive effects in our life. That's all, and thank you.
Good day, my name is Martin Besos and my topic is do mental strength training. In the word mental strength, the ability to cope with negative emotions in a good or healthy way. Mental strength training is important because it helps you manage your thoughts, regulate your emotions, and behave productively. By practicing mental strength, it gives a lot of benefits in ourselves. One of the most qualified examples to your strength, your mental capability, is saying no to others. It can help especially to people who abuse your good attitude. By following a methodical methods of training, a person can reach peace of mind, setting goals, and especially achieving your good and peaceful life. There is some example of mental strength training. Number 1 is visual positive outcomes. Thanks to all those uncertain situations currently in your life to turn anxiety into problems. From the word itself, anxiety needs progress. 3. Try something new. You can try a new beginning in your life every day you think you need to do. Left your safe zone to face another problem and more happiness in your life.
Good morning, classmates. I'm Rose Christine Joy T. I'll be discussing about repeatedly do acts that exhibit moral courage and will. So, what is repeatedly do acts that exhibit moral courage and will? Practice makes perfect. If one wishes to nurture the moral courage and will in him, he must strive doing the acts that manifest them whenever opportunity allows it. So, ano nga ba to? Ulit-ulitin mo. Hindi yung nagawa ko naman, isang buwan ko na po siyang nagawa, feeling ko okay na. Hindi din natatapos yun. Kasi once na hindi mo siya nagawa, may tendency naman, kanina't kanina, may tendency na hindi mo siya parang nawala ang nasa sistema mo, ang nasa sistema mo na lang ulit is yung dating ikaw, yung dating ginawa mo is mga bagay na hindi nakakatulong sa'yo. The more you practice, the better you get. Dahil paulit-ulit mo pinapractice ang mga bagay na iyon. Isa sa mga example nito ay 1. Picking up a litter. Isa sa pinakasimple na pwede mong gawin, yung tipong kahit na sa isang lugar, nakakita ka ng mga kalat, yung mga taong madaling magkalat, yung mga taong pagtapos na kumain, tapon lang kung saan-saan, mga walang disiplina sa sarili, mga walang pakialam dahil sa mga janitor or street sweeper lang na asa. So, ikaw mismo sa sarili mo, dahil meron kang concern sa ibang tao, pwedeng may concern ka din sa environment, kay Mother Earth, ikaw mismo sa sarili mo, alam mo yung tama at di tama na gagawin. 2. Becoming company whistleblower. So, ayan, di ba may mga kahit hindi pa naman nagtatrabaho, nalalagay tayo sa isang sitwasyon na kailangan natin sabihin yung totoo kahit na ang pwedeng mangyari dito ay may trabaho ka nga or working student ka. So, pwedeng ikasira o pwedeng mawalan ka ng trabaho once na sinabi mo yung katotohanan. Yung tipong may gusto kang isiwalat na katiwalian sa loob ng company nyo. So, kaya, kumbaga sa mga tao, dapat merong kang panindigan. So, kung ang katwiran mo dyan ay alam mo na may ganitong klaseng pangyari sa company or sa paligid mo, di mo na lang sinabi dahil baka mawalan ka ng trabaho. Isa din yun sa lack of moral courage. At 3. Helping someone push a car even if it means being late. So dito, example ko yung mga nakikita ko sa social media, yung tipong kunyari nasiraan o nawalan ng gas yung motor niya. So, tinitignan niya kung sino ba sa may mga tao pa rin ba na willing tumulong sa kanya kahit na alam natin na abala yun para sa ibang tao. Syempre meron kang appointment, diba? Tapos makikita mo kumbaga hindi naman yung planado sa araw na yon na may makakasalubong ka or may encounter ka na nasiraan sa sasakyan. So, ano yung ginagawa ng mga tao na with your effort, courage? So, ikaw, kahit na malilate ka, na ay tinulungan mo pa rin. And that's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Pauline May Eusebio, and I will be discussing the 5th tip in developing will and moral courage. So, the last one is avoid deeds that shows lack of moral courage and will. This entails avoiding behaviors such as carelessness, cowardice, apathy, recklessness, imprudence, malice, and evil. So, nangangahulugan ito yung pag-iwas sa mga pag-uugali, yung behaviors, o gawain na nagpapakita, kabilang na dito yung kawalan ng pananagutan, katuwagan, kawalan ng interes, yung pagiging padalos-dalos, kawalang ingat, and kasamaan ng loob, yung masamang kalooban, and syempre yung kasamaan. So, in addition, lang naman ito, what will be the consequences of lack of courage? So, the consequences of lack of courage are sometimes immeasurable and pervasive, manifesting themselves in a lack of alignments, respects, and outcomes. So the frustration that follows can lead to a lack of talent retention. So I have here 6 examples na number 5. So some examples of this are number 1, walking away from someone in need. Ito yung lumalayo ka, nilalayuan mo o iniiwasan mo yung mga tao na nangangailangan. Number 2 is lying or pagsisinungaling. Number 3, breaking a promise, pagsira ng pangako mo or ng pangako. Number 4 is laughing at someone's misfortune or accident. So, hindi naman talaga siguro maganda yung tatawanan mo yung kasawian na nangyari o hindi magandang nangyari sa isang tao, di ba? So, number 5 is being inconsistent or capricious with rules and standards for one's children. Ito naman yung pagiging hindi naaayon or pabago-bago ka sa mga tuntunin at pamamantayan para sa mga anak. So, last naman, example is remaining silent in the face of wrongdoings or injustice. So, ito yung nananatiling tahimik ka lang sa harap ng maling paggawa o kawalan ng katarungan. Yun yung examples. Yun yung some examples. So, when doing the right thing is difficult, moral courage helps us to address ethical dilemmas and take actions. So, moral courage is the willingness to spread up and of the right and to do the right thing. So, sa kabila ng face of forces that would urge us to do otherwise. That's all. Thank you.